Muy buenos días. Bienvenidos.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second and last day of the Mutualism International Congress for 2019, sponsored by the UMU and organized by the AMA, Declare of Touristic Interest by the Ministry of Tourism of Uruguay. We will begin with the topic of Roundtable 3, Principles, Values and Functioning of Mutualism. It includes two panels. The moderator of this roundtable will be Dr. José María Garriga from the Federation of Services Mutuals of Social Security, Argentina, and treasurer of the AMA. These are the members of the first panel of Roundtable 3. Mr. Gustavo Bernini, president of the National Institute of Cooperativism in Uruguay, Mr. Matías Savignac, vice president of the International Cooperation of the AIM and President of the Education and Solidarity Network in France. Dr. Graciela Fernandez, President of Cooperatives of the Americas, region of the International Cooperative Alliance and Vice President of the International Cooperative Alliance on Cooperatives and Social and Solidarity Economy. Thank you. Good morning. Hopefully we'll have a very successful morning session as we had in yesterday's presentations. At this roundtable, we need to talk about values, principles, and functioning of mutualism. And we are actually talking about their own cultural mandates of social and solidarity economy. This is fundamental to these organizations and for regional development as well of mutualism and cooperativism and social economy in Latin America. Let us now begin this time by giving the floor to Mr. Gustavo Bernini, President of the National Institute of Cooperativism of Uruguay. Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank you for having invited me. I would say that I would also like to welcome everyone here, especially the delegations from abroad who are our brothers and sisters as well. The National Institute of Cooperativism is a public institute that develops policies to promote and develop cooperativism in particular and social and solidarity economy in general. When I say a public institution, I mean it's a state organization that promotes, helps promote and develop social economy in Uruguay. Therefore, I feel that I'm representing the authorities that develop promotion policies for social economy, and this is how I participate in this event. I would like to especially thank the UMU because they have always talked to us and they have always involved us in this type of event. This is very important because, as you will see in my presentation, in Uruguay we are in transition towards a general social and solidarity economy law. Therefore, this type of connection is very relevant, the connection among us. It is in this sense, then, that I would like to say that social and solidarity economy in Uruguay, as in especially American countries, goes back to 160 years ago. Specifically, mutuals are the oldest legal entities regarding a specific expression of social and solidarity economy in Uruguay. They have always been connected with health services and private health care in Uruguay. However, there has always been a parallel and continuous development process whereby cooperativism, mutualism, non-profit civil organizations have coexisted, and they have developed their own strategies in order to consolidate an alternative, building an alternative based on solidarity and different values from the prevailing model, let's say, regarding productive, economic, social, and business relationships. Over these 160 years of history, we have always had regulations, and these laws have been passed in Parliament thanks to different, let's say, pushes, different drivers, be them cooperatives, mutuals, or within cooperatives, maybe these incentives have been provided by specific consumption cooperatives, etc., or other cooperativism models, such as housing cooperatives, which are essential in Uruguay. Last year, the national housing law turned 150 years old. This law created this form of housing, which is very important in Uruguay, and nowadays it is really driving the public housing policy in Uruguay. Given this background, it was only in 2008 that a law is passed which regulates cooperatives in general. This law aimed to put together all the disseminated legislation, the chaotic legislation and contradictory legislation as well, in just one body of regulations. As this was the case, it includes recording, control, promoting and developing public policies to foster social economy and cooperativism. We are able to actually improve the quality of these services in the last 10 years. Only in cooperatives, we can say that the number of cooperatives has trebled, consumption, housing, agricultural sector, etc. This shows that when we have the right political context, when the legal framework is the right one, and when this law creates Law 18407 creates a public promotion institute such as INACOP. Actually, the law was voted in 2008, and INACOP was created at the end of 2009. When this organization was created, then it has been possible to make great progress, which has allowed us to look back and to actually reflect on what we have done and not. Actually, cooperativism has really grown. But this also, in a way, makes us look to the future and realize there is still a long way to go. One of the articles of Law 18407 states that INACOP should work on a law and develop a law that governs the whole of social economy and solidarity economy. There are some legal gaps. Yes, that's true. As you know, cooperatives were created in Uruguay. They grew, they consolidated their organizations, and they became part of the culture. But they have no legal framework in itself. To the extent that nowadays Uruguayans, when they say mutuals, they mean the health mutuals the parents and grandparents went to, and the ones they use as well. And actually, they are not mutuals per se. They are private health providers, and actually, they are profit organizations, and true mutuals are non-profit organizations. And therefore, we do have a legislation gap in that regard. We have been talking in this regard with the UMU partners and another international union. The Institute has openly worked with different expressions of mutualism at union level. One of our aims in order to develop our policy is to work towards a social and solidarity economy that is comprehensive. I had to leave at midday yesterday because we received the visit of the High Commissioner from France on social economy, Christophe Titier. There was an overlapping of events. Actually, Elisa came with us. She had a meeting with the High Commissioner, and Alain as well, who visited us in our offices, and we had the meeting at the executive tower, at the executive branch. We had the meeting with this international authority. In a way, he presides over the pilot group for social and solidarity economy, Colombia and Uruguay are part of the group. There are other African countries such as Senegal, countries from Asia and North America. When we talked to him about social and solidarity economy, we remember he talked about families. He said that in this type of economy, we're a large family, which includes smaller families. As in any family, there are also contradictions and fights. And those of us of Italian descent know that going from laughter and hugging to crying and yelling is completely usual given our Latin blood. That's part of our reality, and it's part of what a public policy should be, creating coordination and dialogue spaces among the different expressions of the social and solidarity economy. And actually we also have the values that encompass everything. The 7 principal values of cooperativism are the same as those for mutualism. There might be small differences, and many times the expressions on how social and solidarity economy organizes itself in each country has to do more with the country in itself than with an objective difference regarding roles, connections, or objects. For instance, in Brazil, mutuals do not exist, but in Argentina, they are fully developed. And in Uruguay, except for a few cases, mutualism has to do with healthcare. And mutualism in Uruguay is very strong. In the last 10 years, Uruguay has effected revolutionary structural changes in several areas. For example, in health. Yesterday we had here the Ministry of Health, Mr. Jorge Vaso, who talked about the change brought about by the new health system, the creation of the health fund, etc. Specific political decisions have been made. I believe they have been taken quite unanimously, and they have to do with legitimating historical mutualism as a concept. I mean, basing this relationship on trust. Uruguay really debated about this healthcare system. Should it be just public or not? There was quite a strong debate with different arguments. However, it was clear that the health system in Uruguay had to be based on 2 fundamental pillars. One of them was public health, clearly, but the other one was the mutuals system that guarantees quality health care and that has a strong historical background. And it has worked so well, mutuals have worked so well, that have been entrusted with a large number of resources from the National Fund so that they can provide healthcare services. When you talk about private healthcare in Uruguay, you don't mean profits in general. You mean mutualism. And that's a concept that is closely connected to the development of social and solidarity economy. Therefore, within our policies, one of their main roles has been to coordinate the work of cooperativism and mutualism. When we analyze the last 5 years, we can see that we have come a long way. Maybe 5 years ago, Graciela and I wouldn't be sitting here. It is also true that CUDECOP, which is a union that brings together national cooperativism, the National Confederation of Cooperatives, has created opportunities to meet with different expressions of social and solidarity economy so that we can together think about the family in capital letters, and also to see how we can build an alternative based mainly on solidarity, going beyond the prevailing model, which is profit. This solidarity, self-management, autonomy, and democracy when it comes to decision-making should prevail over other models which are for profit, which include competition no matter what. And that's what we should replicate for the future. In a COP this year, we'll try to make progress in a project that includes mutualism within the Bill of Law that regulates social and solidarity economy in a comprehensive manner. This is cooperativism is very important in Uruguay, from a mutual organization, including Conaprole, a very important dairy cooperative, and also people who make handcrafts and who self-manage their work. These are the different expressions of how rich social and solidarity economy is, which should be the art of a public policy, of a rule that governs this activity, that dignifies it, and that creates the best conditions in order to make progress. This art should be flexibility, tolerance, and rather than competition, complementarity, assuming that these handcraftsmen or someone sitting at a cooperative are working for the same thing, but through different expressions at different places. That is our challenge, and we are committed to working with it. There will be some problems. Clearly, every family has problems. But really, we want to build this articulation in order to continue making progress together, and we would like to build a new setting in this regard. This is also reflected internationally. In Uruguay, as of the law that includes a general cooperative legal framework, INACOP is now solving that legal gap, because any social economy institution has the right to participate in our programs. There are very strong programs: training, technical assistance, rotation funds, investment funds, agreements with the University of Uruguay, education. We can give you information about this for hours. The design of those policies also includes other entities of the social economy, not just cooperatives. The clearest example is a society that promotes rural activities. And they actually represent the small farmer, the family producer that finds in that association the best way to be part of the countryside, to continue producing, to actually have access to markets that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. It is in this sense that we have been working on this. Therefore, internationally, we fully participate and gladly participate in these activities. Accountant Seri Sola has also helped us to be present here and in some international activities where we have participated. Seri Sola is saying that I should finish. We have participated in different international fora through the International Cooperative Alliance. Actually, Graciela is the president for the Americas and vice president worldwide. We preside over public organizations of promotion in America, but we also participate in ANREM, which is a Mercosur meeting, and also in different international expressions, for instance, the pilot group you were mentioning. Therefore, we have a lot of work to do. We are very happy with what we have done. Once again, thank you. We do have a common path for the future, and we will probably be very successful in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. An excellent presentation, and we really think about what is done in Uruguay. There's specific legislation missing concerning mutuals, and there's talk about a law that encompasses the whole social economy, and we see that in Mercosur, for example, Mercosur cooperatives. This project has been approved, and I think that it was ratified by Uruguay, the only country that has ratified it so far. So we will not linger on it because we have very little time. So, Matthias, it's your turn. Good morning, everyone. I thank you for the invitation to participate in this panel. My name is Matthias Savignac. I'm the Vice President of the International Association of Mutuality, and the President of the network Education and Solidarity. This network is made up of education trade unions. It was created by MGen, Mutuality of General of the National Education in France, and the objective of the network is to build bridges between different players, but that are complementary. Trade unions, researchers, and mutualists. It works on issues of promotion of health for the educational community and education about social economy, mobilization of youth about solidarity issues. And finally, what defines mutuality? It's something simple but essential to do together what we couldn't do by ourselves. And the mission of the network is to get contacts between people and structure who wish to act. Through its actions and its functioning, the mutuals and the actors of the social economy are essential for social protection, health and solidarity, and citizen welfare. The role of education about health is included in the bylaws of mutuals. It's one of the most important definitions. The mission goes beyond simple education under the gaze of participating in activities and the functioning of mutuals. From this knowledge and this participation is born the commitment, citizen commitment, a commitment for social protection, better health, and better education, and an inclusive and fairer society. We often talk about the values of mutualism, which we share. Sorry about my Spanish. We are saying it. It's important to say it, but it's more important to talk about what is done. Talk about specific achievements, because these values become flesh in action. That's the reason why I won't give a theoretical presentation. I prefer to give you some specific examples of interesting mutualities and innovation in the area. These examples teach us that mutualism is also sharing civic values, a different way of enterprising, and to earn a decent living, be aware of your rights, and become an actor of your health and the health of the community. Mutuals and their associated partnerships are key players for education in health. I will introduce a docent to you. It's an education for health that has been created by the government of France. It is a health mutual for workers of education in France. It's a very important player in the world of health, social protection, and education, and it carries out many research activities, also prevention and education on health, and it accompanies and collaborates with different associations. Through the association, the mutual engine supports the educational community with tools of health, solidarity, and collaboration. It has a program about stereotypes about women. It's a campaign for gender equality and the fight against sexism. It's very interesting, and I will present another tool of promotion of health of the students of this association that is called Feel Good. Feel Good is a diagnosis tool for prevention of health, and the device helps education professionals to identify and prioritize health topics that they can discuss with high school students, and the purpose is to turn students into active players. With the device, an education professional can start a survey about their students' health. The students answer the questionnaire anonymously and they access their individual results. It is a very good way to invite students to reflect about their own health, to consider what is important for them. The teacher also has access to the results of the survey, and it has educational resources to treat different health topics. Mutuals are players for the health of the students and for the welfare at work as well. And about this topic, I will say a few words about the prevention networks for help and follow-up that were created by the Mutual General of Education and the Ministry of Education of France. Its objective is to implement actions to prevent labor risks and promote health at work. It is a free service of assistance and telephone support that is available for all the education staff nationally, and it allows teachers to express themselves freely and receive psychological support by phone or in person. There are other different tools for voice, team for cardiovascular disease. In the schools, the mutuals teach health, solidarity, and the foundations of social support. They also discuss a different way of being an entrepreneur, and several mutuals and trade unions in France have created an association called L'Espère. It talks about the social economy as a partner for the economy of the country, and the idea is to promote social economy in the schools and in the programs, in the curricula. Espers has developed a device called My Social and Solidarity Enterprise at School, and this program gives students in the high school a possibility of creating a mutual, an association, or a cooperative within their classroom and during school hours, and it's integrated in the official curriculum. Students from 10 to 20 years old will learn the principles of social economy, but also the process to direct a mutual or cooperative, organize a general assembly, accountability, recruiting members, offering services and economic models. This device is very important because it allows living the values of cooperation, of collective commitment, and inspires initiative, solidarity, equality, and benefits for all and demography. It's a very successful program. Since 2016, 3,000 students have gotten involved to create social economy organizations. I'd like to speak about another project that was launched a few years ago. We are coming closer to Uruguay. We are in Colombia, and an association, Congreso Salud, the network of solidarity and health, has developed a pilot program about mutualism and cooperation between young people without qualifications, single mothers, and vulnerable populations. The first pilot was launched in 2017. It was a device to raise awareness among the youth about the possibility of creating social enterprises to serve their community. The transformation is called Tú, Yo, y Nosotros. Young entrepreneurs of the social and solidarity economy have practical models about social economy and solidarity enterprising, with emphasis on health, social and citizen protection. It is designed to allow young people participating to realize the solidarity projects, to have the tools to work in a solidarity manner and improve their lives. And the objective is to do social economy an alternative model for human and economic development. Talking about health and education, I would like to finish with culture. The mutuals also promote art and culture, especially at school. They work to defend fundamental liberties and the equality of rights. They always seeking to have an educational dimension in this aspect. Mutual support and sponsor cultural works, books, and exhibitions. Here, for example, the Mutual General of Education supports a foundation Cartooning for Peace, Books for Peace, a network of press designers who use drawing as a tool for tolerance, dialogue, and to defend the freedom of the press. Solidarity can also be a party. In June, in Dijon, there will be the first mutual festival of France called Viva las Solidaridades. It is organized by the Viv group of mutuals and inspired by a Belgian music festival. Viva Solidaridades has the same ambitions of putting the world of cooperatives and mutuals at the heart of the community, with debates about social progress, committed musicians, and the possibility of living together. Finally, the idea that educators are real tools for solidarity and education, and the heart of the network is to promote innovative tools and projects and promote bridges between the actors of education, health, and social promotion. And I would like to share in this presentation a commission of the members of the network that are at the heart of human development, and they are interdependent. The teachers about good health are the best vectors for spreading the culture of social protection and health for everyone. And we think it is very important to coordinate positive action of everyone who innovates in the fields of human development and solidarity to make it more visible and ensure sustainability. The collaboration and the exchange of good practices and innovation are ways of working that we've considered essential for the future of mutualism, and we have to continue learning, innovating, and learning from others. So I present Feel Good, the Solidarity Enterprises at School, young entrepreneurs in Colombia, and now we can imagine it can be implemented in Latin America. As a president of RES, I would like to collaborate with you to share and thus live this conviction. We will be delighted to strengthen our relation with Latin America, and we are available for any of your questions. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Matías. Realmente son ejemplos para compartir.
Thank you, Matías. These are very good examples to share and apply in Latin America. And you have provided us with a very specific vision of what we need regarding the visibility of organizations, what we do, and what is being done around the world. You were talking about families, you were talking about mutual help, and we also should talk about education, because we cannot grow and make progress regarding social protection without training. Principles and values would not be enough in social economy if we didn't have the necessary participation to make the cooperatives go forward into the future. Okay. Doctor, it's your turn, so we'll be closing with you the first part of the panel. Thank you for being here. Good morning, everyone. I would like to greet the AMA. Thank you for inviting me. I would like to greet friends from the Uruguayan Confederation of Cooperatives. Thank you to the Cooperative of the Americas, the region of the International Cooperative Alliance. Thank you to the UMU. It is a pleasure for international cooperativism to be present in this event. This cooperativism brings together institutions that have worked together throughout history. Cooperativism and mutualism are sister disciplines. Cooperativism internationally includes the concept of mutualism. Actually, the concept of mutuals is part of our origin, our source, our history. What is most important, and this is why we're here, we need to remember that it's an intergenerational concept. It has crossed over all generations, and it's a concept that has adapted to the changes in history and has developed in the territory. This is fundamental. Mutualism and cooperativism have been able to apply to cater to the needs of people. These very famous 7 principles are the same for cooperativism and mutualism, because the core concept is the same, the human being. Therefore, it's a pleasure to be part of this together. It is a pleasure to work together, and it's very good to be able to apply what the 2 preceding speakers have said. I believe that what this main panel is saying is fundamental, principles and values. We need to be able to understand what brings us together. We need to understand our history, and we need to project our future in order to continue working together. I would like to give the international perspective of the ACI and of the Americas as well. We have worked on 3 key points in the last 3 years. In 2016, Uruguay marked the 4th Summit of American Cooperatives in Montevideo, right here actually, as you are. For the first time, we have a new element for the Americas agenda and also the international agenda in the Malaysia meeting in 2017. This element is the UN 2030 agenda and the achievement of the 17 SDGs. We need to understand that a reality with a globalized economy, that with an economy that centers well in the hands of very few people, there is social uncertainty as well. Everyone feels uncertain. Therefore, cooperatives as tools, mutuals as tools, and also social and solidarity economy as a tool are pillars we need to really hold on to. To do this, we need to come together. And to do this, we need to actually organize the 5th summit of the city of Buenos Aires in its aim. We need to be able to translate this major challenge of achieving the 17 SDGs. We need to actually preserve this planet. We need to defend our citizens. We need to defend humankind of climate change. We actually need to promote sustainable development in an economy that has this profile. We are the necessary stakeholders to do this. International cooperativism has benefits, American and Latin American. Actually, we had the advantage of having a president we trust, and this president will actually promote our project. This is Dr. Ariel Huarco, who is Argentinian. He's from the River Plate, and he really would like to promote this agenda. Therefore, we must understand what brings us together, and we need to make our differences visible, as the other speakers said. There are differences, and there is a clear difference between cooperativism and mutualism. That's true. We are the culture of association. We are the moral culture of association. We have managed to formalize our concepts. Therefore, we need to analyze without prejudices, without fears, with responsibility. We need to see who are going to be part of this family of social and solidarity economy. International cooperativism is now working on a strategic plan at a worldwide level. This was done in the last council meeting a month ago in Matera, Italy, and this will be further analyzed in Geneva in June, and it will be taken to be approved at the World Assembly in Kigali. But also American cooperativism needs to analyze its strategic plan in Montevideo in May, where the Board of the Americas Cooperativism will meet. There will also be a conference in Costa Rica in November, and one of the main topics is to actually work towards SDG 16 that has to do with a global alliance. It is impossible for institutions by themselves or governments by themselves to manage to do this, to have this visibility, to get these results, if they do not work through a global alliance. Therefore, international cooperativism through the ACA, that represents the sixth world economy in the world. American cooperativism, 90 organizations from 23 countries, over 6 million jobs. They understand that we need to unite through all these expressions that are centered on the human being. And these principles and values bring us together, and through them we invite mutualism and cooperativism to have a voice, to come together, to make all this visible, and to have one united voice. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to speak to you today. This is so true what the speakers have said regarding this unity. We need unity, yes, but we need something else. We need to fight for it. We need political incentives, because at times these incentives are missing in some countries, in organizations actually, so that organizations can have an equal economic growth, so that the growth is inclusive and that it's decent as well. This is another factor that is necessary in organizations and in the Americas. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for participating here today. And I think now we need to leave room for the other speakers. Before you leave, please stay for a second. We will be presenting you with a gift to appreciate your presentation. Thank you to the representatives of AMA, the AMA and the UMU for presenting these gifts.
Gracias.
A continuación, los invitamos a hacer una pausa y volvemos.
Let us now have a coffee break. We will be back in 30 minutes to have the third panel, Principles, Values, and Functioning of Mutualism. Thank you.
Retomamos con el segundo y último panel de la...
We are restarting with the last panel of panel 3, the last table of panel 3, about principles, values, and functioning of mutualism. And the moderator will be José María Garriga of the Treasury of AMA. And the members are Mr. Alejandro Russo, Vice President of AMA, President of the Confederación Argentina de Mutualidades, and President of the Federación Provincial de Mutualidades de Córdoba. Dr. Elisa Torrenegra, Vice President for Latin America of the AAIM, Co-President of ESS Forum International, President of AMA, and Executive Director of the Asociación de Empresas Gestoras del Aseguramiento en Salud of Colombia. And Mr. Alan Coe, the Treasurer of AIM, Co-President of ESS Forum International, member of the Economic and Social European Committee, Vice President of Social Economy Europe, Director of European Topics for the Union of Socialist Mutualities of Belgium. So we will start the second part of the panel, and I would like to clarify that we will have to change the presentation of each of the speakers. We will first hear from Mr. Alejandro Russo because he has to travel, he has to fly to Argentina in a few minutes. So we will give him the floor first, then Dr. Elisa Torrenegra, and finally Mr. Alan Coe will speak to us. So, dear Alejandro, we are all ears. Good morning, and the truth is that, as I said yesterday, I have to congratulate the organizers of the conference for the quality and for the learnings in this space that was generated by mutualism and the social and solidarity economy, and of course share this very important panel with Elisa and Alan Kerr, and I apologize because I won't be able to stay until the end due to my trip, but it is an excellent panel because of them. In the module that I am supposed to speak about is principles and values and functioning of mutualism. We all know that mutualism in many countries in the world is not recognized, and in others, of course, it is. And we know that the range of problems of mutualism in the world is very varied, although in some countries in America it is similar due to some attacks we have received, especially in the last few years. I think we will all agree that when we live times of uncertainty, when we have to fight for our rights of the mutual sector, that is when we must go deeper into our roots. We have to deepen the doctrine of the sector, the respect for legislation, because that will give us a possibility to defend ourselves. And of course, it is also very important to work in the framework of the principles and the values of mutuality, as it's indicated in the name of this module. And so, in this regard, I will share with you the 7 principles approved by Argentina in '79 in a very important Congress, of which I will just mention some and I will develop some others. The first one is voluntary adherence. We all know that mutualism is voluntary, both access and staying as a mutual entity. Democratic organization, this is fundamental because not only this value is implemented of democracy for electing authorities that will defend the rights and will conduct the organizations, but also there's a possibility that these organizations and their assemblies, their members, will be able to say what services to approve and under the modality under which it will be approved, and the economic contribution according to the services to be received We know this because everywhere in the world that is the case. Every member will contribute the equivalent of the benefit that will receive. The fifth point, is the capitalization of any surpluses. This is extremely important, especially thinking about the attacks we've had when they have tried to tax our earnings in the organizations. You know that surpluses are not distributed, they are capitalized. And when I make this distinction, I'm not thinking about cooperatives that distribute surpluses. I'm talking about corporations. If we are treated like this, it's because we consider corporations. And why do I say this? Because cooperatives do distribute surpluses, but in a very different manner. What the cooperative says is, dear member, this has been my revenue, the cost of the service has been such, and this is a result that I overcharged, so I'm returning it to you, refunding it. In the case of corporations, this excess goes to the pocket of shareholders, and it's a very different treatment from cooperatives. And it's very different from the organization of mutuals, because the surpluses are capitalized to give more and better services and to cover the deficit of services that have a difference. Concerning training, the sixth principle, for us this is extremely important. A leader that is trained, that is qualified, will make the organization grow. A trained leader will interpret the legislation and fulfill it in a very efficient manner, minimizing mistakes. In our case, we are working in the Argentinian Association of Mutuals. We have been working on training in the last few years. In a few months, we have trained over 7,000 people for free. Likewise, this reminds me of the presentation of our dear friend Matias when he was speaking about school mutualism and training of young people. And in Argentina, we are working very hard on school mutualism. And why? Because we are convinced that they are one of the factors for sustainability of mutualism throughout time. The best thing is to start with children and teenagers in schools, thinking that a child who gets to know mutualism and cooperativism will most likely become a leader, and they might not be a mutual or cooperative leader. They might be an entrepreneurial leader or university leader, but they will work throughout their lives defending their rights with a social commitment. We are convinced that generating young people who work with the principles of mutualism and cooperativism will yield better citizens. And training through virtual classrooms and the different delegations that we have is so important, but it's not enough. This year, very recently, actually day before yesterday, at the General Ordinary Assembly of CAM, we approved the creation of the Mutual University of Argentina. Over a year ago, we started working in the pedagogical cabinet and the technical cabinet, and very recently, 48 years ago, the Confederation, the Assembly, approved the creation of this university. And this will no doubt become a qualitative leap, and this will give the possibility for 7 million members that receive the services of mutuals in Argentina to have the possibility for those who are not university students or have a degree to be able to access university degrees. We will use technologies to teach through distance learning with virtual classrooms throughout the country. You know that Argentina is so large, but we want to give the opportunity through mutualism to get training. And somebody said that the true name of social inclusion was training, education, and we share that concept. finally, when we talk about the seventh principle, what we are saying is we're talking about integration for development. We think that it is impossible to see and work in mutualism that works as an island. That is not possible. Mutualism has to be integrated inside of it, horizontally with its mutuals, vertically with federations and confederations, and integrated with other economy players, both profit and non-profit. We're talking about trade unions, commerce chambers, but mainly integrated with cooperatives to form what we call social and solidarity economy. And of course, this is not a minor topic, we have to integrate internationally. There are no barriers today, neither local or international. All of us need to work together, learning from each other's mistakes, trying to build spaces, and thinking that the times that are coming, because of different reasons, are very difficult. And we should join each other and work together in joint policies to defend each one of our rights. We are convinced that when we speak about mutualism, we talk about solidarity. When we talk about mutualism, we're talking about principles and values. When we talk about mutualism, we are talking about the shape that will nurture our rights throughout this world we live in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alejandro. We know that you have to leave right away, so we say goodbye and see you soon. Now we will hear from the president of the Alianza de Mutualismo de América, Elisa Torrenegra, who will address the same topic. Okay, I think that during these 2 days we have heard a lot about values and principles of mutualism. I think we have insisted that it is a way of thinking, of living, of acting, of behaving for non-profit. And this is very important as a principle and a value, because when you think about profit, instead of embracing the world, what you do is you extract resources, natural resources, human resources, capacities. You extract it for your own profit. In the case of social and solidarity organizations, what we should do is to protect it to have a better life. Because we think that social and solidarity organizations, mutual organizations, have been born and grown and strengthened themselves around the human being, around a service to human beings. And there are some important aspects to consider. Mutual companies appear in every stage of their lives, of people's lives. When a child is born, babies have to be taken care of, then they have to be educated, and they have to go into their labor life, and they have to produce economically. And later, there are some colleagues of Paraguay from pension mutuals, and they are at certain time when age will not allow you to produce. So what does it mean that mutuality protects individuals at every stage of their life and in all the conditions that present risk? This has made a difference in the world, because normally when we speak in many countries of Europe, we see that how mutual organizations are more concentrated on health, more on health and education services. But in countries where there are more needs, where there are more lacks, when the governments are not so strong, mutuality gets organized to supplement or sometimes even perform the role of the government. And when the states become strong, instead of embracing us and be complementary, what they try to do is to remove us. So there is an issue here that we as mutuals, in addition to the work that we have to do every day, with a principle, with a value, with a way of operation, we have to visibilize, as Alejandro said it, we should make it visible what we do through education and solidarity for our children, that there is a different option to money that should be the protection of our own protection. And in those people, we will have those that will be the politicians and educators, because we need to be in those spaces in the best manner possible. This has been weak in our countries, in our continents. I simply bring some evidence. I was mentioning yesterday something about it's not working, sorry. Okay, the slide. In relation concerning the fact that we're in countries where the government has contributed, we are contributing important monies to the country through many organizations of solidarity and also job creation. But there are some objectives here that I would like to strengthen. This panel tries to research different types of mutualism. We can work on all of these goals in any way, in any form of cooperation, not isolatedly. It can be through public-private cooperations between organizations with and for and not for profit, but we can participate in the achievement of public policies. And that is not that it's going to start. This has been the case for a long time. As Alejandro was saying very well, we, in the aspect of internationalization, we see that organizations as AIM, which is International Organization of Mutuality, there are 31 countries in Europe, America, and Africa for a topic that is the essence of human beings, which is to be healthy, to give social protection, this umbrella of social protection. But we see a different development. It's not just health. We see that they go into tourism, they go into commerce, in savings and credit, in all the components of development of people. And now that we can see this vision a bit more expanded in the international network of the forum, we can see that it transcends the form to what Graciela was saying this morning of getting together between mutuals and cooperatives, not trying to make differences, but work in the world for a social and solidarity economy. In Colombia, very quickly, we are having a development that has been for many years and achieved a lot of organizations in different forms of solidarity education. And it's important to see how in the processes of the same country, for example, in the peace process, and we are not talking about the peace agreement, but in the search for peace, we have been able to integrate combatants as partners or as members or as employees. So these are things where mutualism and social organizations are present in the life of individuals, in the life of society, and in the life of the countries. We cannot stay away from that. There are two environments. One is a political and national, and another one is the specific actions. These are specific examples of what is being done with children, what is being done with older people that are very beautiful experiences with gangs, drugs, and early pregnancy are being intervened through dance, singing, and chess playing in the most vulnerable communities. So we are in a process that is becoming more aware of the realities there and use mutuality as a strategy. But we need to be aware, and I want to make a recognition. We cannot not earn a political space and that's it. We have to be competent. We have to improve continuously. We have to be much more technical. We have to be supported by technology and go along with what's happening in the world. We have to strengthen our governance organizations. We cannot try to fight against private economy, profit economy, in the public sector for a social title. We have to show our strengths and techniques that create results in communities. So we think that all of this mutualism and the social and solidarity economy companies have a very important role in the exponential role of each of the communities where we operate. Thank you very much, Elisa. Very clear, your message.
Yours was a summary of what we have discussed at this roundtable and at the Congress as well. And also regarding technology, IT, digitalization, it seems to be that for some of our organizations, this doesn't belong to us, that it belongs to other people. However, the economy dynamics necessary for this region means that we need to really know what technological advances entail in general. Well, dear Alain Goer, we will be listening to you with a lot of attention. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizers and the people for organizing this International Congress. It is a pleasure to be here because I meet friends from Argentina, Uruguay, Colombia, a new friend from Paraguay as well. Also the family from the social economy and mutualism, they are a very important family. This presentation highlights the importance of sustainable development for social economy organizations, and also it is a challenge for me to present in Spanish, as my friend Matthias was saying a few minutes ago. So we share the same feeling. The aim of articulating social economy and mutualism, we are members of this big family, so we need to speak a common language. After addressing the matter of values, I would establish a connection with democracy and social cohesion. Then I will devote a few minutes to the role of international organizations, and I would finish with an essential aspect of our organizations, which is social innovation. Social economy companies and organizations and solidarity organizations are formed by a plurality of stakeholders that have a common identity core with behavior principles and values that characterizes them as free and voluntary entities, with democratic and participatory governance systems created from the civil society with the main objective of satisfying and solving with solidarity criteria the needs of people and social groups which form them, and rather than providing returns on investment for capital investors. Social economy institutions are characterized by the fact that they pay attention to the general interest of a community, and they do not intend to maximize benefits. Their aim is clearly social, to improve individual and collective well-being by reducing inequalities and improving social cohesion. It is also about contributing to developing quality jobs in corporate, socially responsible institutions and companies. Social economy is a form of organizing human activities based on collective property, solidarity, and participatory democracy that is based on economic efficiency and that guarantees production, distribution, exchange, and the consumption of goods and services. It contributes to the expression of an active and participatory set of citizens towards individual and collective prosperity. It participates in all the areas, economic, social, and environmental areas. Several documents agree when they identify the sector of social economy formed by several companies and institutions and based on the primacy of people over capital, which include organization modalities such as cooperatives, mutuals, foundations, and associations, as well as new social company formats. These are the conclusions of the EU Council of the 7th December 2015 on the promotion of social economy as a key driver of economic and social development in Europe. It is a result of the organization of citizens to cater to the economic, social, and cultural needs faced with social changes. So social economy companies have been defined first in the bylaws, which are essential agreements that connect the parties implied by establishing internal rules which are freely accepted and that govern their functioning. This is how mutuals, cooperatives, and associations were created, and now we have to add foundations as well. Currently, these legal vehicles are still the most used ones in order to create companies in the social economy. Democracy has a main role in the definition of social economy and of dynamics promoted by the companies. Internal democracy evokes the principle of one person, one vote. Within the bodies in charge of decision making, the participation of several categories of agents in company management, such as workers, users, and beneficiaries. The role of companies in social economy in the democratization of our economy goes beyond the different internal management modalities. In fact, there is a democratic dimension that offers citizens a possibility to participate in collective activities and to contribute to debate in society. In this sense, social economy companies are a true school of participatory democracy. This democratic role of social economy companies is implemented on different levels through the goods and services they provide, through the alternatives they propose, through the responses they give to the needs that many times are not catered to. Also, the expression and debate fora they help create, and from the pressure and awareness raising action they take. They need to assume a more company model that respects environmental topics, social relations, and labor conditions of its workers. However, I also need to say that there are several elements that negatively affect the basis of our societies, which are based on democracy and social cohesion. Reduction in public spending and in the protection networks the state offers, the logics of benefit and profitability in the short term of financial and speculative markets, also the favoring populism and an increase in inequality. Social cohesion, according to the Council of Europe, is the capacity of a society to guarantee the well-being of all its members, reducing inequalities and preventing marginality. When this social cohesion is negatively impacted. There is an increase in the identity movement, which also fosters anti-democratic theories. Democracy and social democracy, the free and independent organization of the civil society, are constitutional elements of the social economy project. Social economy, through its objectives, which are mainly social or that have social consequences, respond in a practical manner to the cohesion and development objectives by promoting at the same time a democratic model. Social economy companies, as part of an economy focused on people and on capital, may be considered an element of the civil society. In a way, the civil society is an incubator for the development of social economy companies, and therefore a cohesion accelerator. By creating social economy companies, the civil society may grant certain minorities a right to be heard or to develop activities, or also develop activities that are not very profitable, that wouldn't necessarily be taken into consideration by more traditional companies. As there are several xenophobic movements and of democratic reversion, social economy companies may contribute to foster a better democracy and cohesion, for instance, by integrating migrants. The history of social economy includes many stories of success, not just in Europe, but in several neighbors from the south, in large regions in Latin America. This is what the ILO has said in its in the recommendation 193 dated 20th June 2002 on the promotion of cooperatives, as they are considered one of the pillars of the social economic development, and that given its values and governance systems, they promote the fullest participation of all the population in this development by strengthening stability, trust, and social cohesion. Through economic diplomacy, we must promote the role of social economy in international fora. This is very important to us. For instance, the United Task Force on Social Economy, the pilot group of the Social Economy Group of the United Nations, G20, G7, the ILO, etc., and the cooperation with international financial organizations such as the Global Social Impact Investment Steering Group, by participating, for instance, in the events on funding organized by the ILGSSE. The UN 2030 Agenda includes 17 SDGs based on 3 pillars: economic, social, and environmental. In order to achieve these SDGs, the social economy has a major role. The plurality of stakeholders that make up the social economy and the mainstreaming of different legal forms may hinder the collection of aggregated data on the performance of social economy, although the data available from cooperatives, mutual assistance institutions and other entities allow us to say that the social economy and cooperatives are key elements in order to achieve the UN 2030 Agenda SDGs. A social innovation is social regarding its aims and means. Specifically, social innovations are defined as new ideas, products, services, and models that have simultaneously the same social needs and create new social relations and cooperations. They are innovations that are good for society and also improve society's capacity to act. Social innovations appear in all sectors and they're not new, but the common characteristic is that they end up effecting a systemic change. Social innovation is manifested in a different way as technical innovation. It is boosted by a need, and it tends to solve a specific difficulty of societies by considering the social, environmental, and economic perspectives. Social innovations, the most successful social innovations, entail a holistic planning, which usually leads to a systemic change instead of addressing a single topic. The basis of social innovation is an ethical, ideological, or general interest vision. It is clear that civil society has and has had a major role in the configuration of social protection systems. Social innovation might be a new concept, but it has been around for a long time. Social innovation is based on open communication, the resolution of problems with the cooperation of different stakeholders, and practices to promote new solutions. Social innovation entails eliminating the walls that separate sectors and markets by replacing the logics of competition with cooperation and association solutions in the long term. It is about sharing, it is connected to the open code movement, and it applies non-competitive approaches. The civil society and the social economy are closely linked and have contributed through innovation, and they have helped effect major systemic changes in society in areas such as kindergartens, hospitals, promoting personal autonomy and the independence of the elderly, people with disability, also the combination of work life and family life, work integration and social housing, as well as several other scientific discoveries or inventions. If we focus on a specific group of users in unmet needs of society or in meeting or in bridging some gaps, the social economy companies experiment and propose innovative solutions, and they also participate in the economic activity. In order to reach these aims and to have the social impact intended, they reinvest their benefits. Recently, we have highlighted the importance of social economy companies because they provide an interesting solution as they create a double value. From the social perspective, through their activities, social cohesion or inclusion; from the economic perspective, through business, the creation of companies and of jobs. This boost of innovation and creativity depends on each stakeholder, as well as their behavior and attitude. Therefore, it is essential not only to strengthen the social economy sector, but also to guarantee an open attitude towards other different models that may appear. It is necessary to promote a cooperation and a shared values culture, which is a principle that is deeply rooted, for instance, has been rooted in social economy since its beginnings. As social economy companies create new markets with innovation, we must pay special attention to protecting the development of these entities in order to allow them to continue developing. Thank you very much for your attention.
Muchas gracias, Alain.
Thank you, Alain. Thank you for your presentation. As usual, when you reach the River Plate, we've seen you in Colombia as well, you are very clear. And this European experience that is very rich, given your participation in different organizations, is very useful for us. When we need to summarize what has been discussed at this round table, we need to remember the topic chosen by the UMU and the AMA regarding principles and values and different ways to participate in the social economy. We need to remember that for a long time we have preserved this path through which social economy and mutualism have walked. But it's not a fixed path. It is built as we go along. We are making progress all the time. These advances, as has been said here today, have taken place thanks to education, training. Probably some years ago we wouldn't have thought that this kind of education would have reached schools. Alain has talked about this, Matthias as well, Alejandro Russo just a few minutes ago, when he talked about what is being done in Latin America and mainly in the countries that participate in the Mutuals Alliance. This includes primary education and it goes up to university education. I believe that we will be able to do this in Argentina, and hopefully this will be disseminated around the Americas. Here we also talked about integration. I think that when we talk about the integration of the social economy, what Alain has said was very interesting, because this integration of social economy and innovation as well does not just belong to social economy. As it is focused on human beings and not on capitals, we need to remember that human beings need to be trained so that with these principles and along this path, they will be able to also work in other companies, and they can probably help humanize the general business person regarding this dynamic development of the economy. To do this, we need to work very hard on other aspects as well that have to do with inclusion and equality. These are other factors that we need to further work on.
Among the factors for inequality, and I will just make a parenthesis here, gender equality is an issue that is really punishing in our environment for a large number of people who are affected by it, and we must block those types of inequalities with precise concrete actions, and those concrete actions are joined logically to work that has to be done with the political power. We cannot wait for political power to do it with claims in these framed claims in these forums. We need to insert ourselves in that political power so that we can carry out these measures and actions that should be developed for a more egalitarian and fairer society. Some legislation issues have been mentioned here, and of course, yes, there's legislation missing, and we were speaking just now with the representatives of Paraguay who were mentioning new projects, legislative bills concerning regulation. In some points, we have participated from AMA in legislations for Paraguay or Nicaragua, for example. Some of them fall through because they are not regulated ultimately, and cooperativism of America should collaborate in this. We have a lot of path ahead of us, and we will walk it with a degree of integration, and that is increasingly large. And it does not have to do with political colors, but it has to do with a fairer world, with a different dynamics from that we are seeing in some parts of Latin America especially. I just wanted to make a very brief summary of what has been presented at this table, and we really congratulate all our speakers because it has been one of the fundamental topics that have been discussed in this conference, and we want to thank the organization because it has been really perfect, and we really congratulate you all, and we will give you a round of applause for it. Now we will give a token of our recognition to Elisa Torrenegra and Mr. Lecoeur, because we thank the representatives of AMA and UMU for presenting these gifts, and we would like to invite the leader of UMU to the stage so that she can also receive a gift.
Invitamos al señor Alenquer a que ocupe su lugar en el auditorio y estamos
Mr. Coeur to join us in the stage, and we are reaching the end of the conference, and we thank the members, participants of all the panels and the moderators as well, and we invite you to share the final conclusions. Those of you, the ones that will be in charge of the final conclusions is the Executive Board of AMA. Its President, Elisa Torrenegra. We invite Secretary General, Mr. Cerizola, to come to the panel, and Treasurer Jose Maria Garriga, who will stay on the stage, and they will close this International Conference on Mutualism. Well, he said it. It wasn't me. He says he's an intruder at the table. Is a very distinguished participant of this panel, and it really gives us a lot of pleasure to have him with us, and he has something to say that will be very interesting, and that is why he is here, and we will listen to him right now. Thanks to everyone. Thank you, Jose Maria. I wanted to say something that is outside the program, but from what I have heard in the coffee breaks and the number of WhatsApp messages that I have received from workers of La Española, Gremca, La Española Móvil, and all the companies that are part of the Española group, and two of them with which we are partners with Casa de Galicia. So these are corporations with a mutual spirit that has a commercial format, but a mutual objective. These are aspects of the legal format, and what matters is the spirit more than the form, and the principles and values. I really like the last table, principles and values, but I had to speak about something else, and this table with 3 pointers of Latin American mutualism. It was really a pleasure, and workers from our institutions, supervisors of medical services, managers, and young millennials who, for the first time in many years, the older ones and the youth we have a mutualism Congress, thanks to AMA and UMU that organized it and achieved it. Our delegates in UMU insisted on holding it with Casa Galicia, which also supported it, the Automobile Club, and Cutsa Seguros. And I would like to thank AMA for the opportunity, because I've been in mutualism for 20 years, and it was due to Mr. Old Mazzucchelli that we learned all these things. It's the first time that we can have been able to have an international conference with very important princesses such as Matthias or Helene or the other colleague from France that visited us today, where for the first time people have been able to see the breadth of mutual issues and the principles and the whole 9 yards. Really a very important field to be able to go deeper and see everything that is covered by mutualism. And I would like to thank AMA, because which is I am a member of, and it's La Española, from La Española, the idea of holding this first conference, and to invite you to follow up with Argentina, with Colombia, because we think what has been planted today concerning the mutual spirit and thinking. So on behalf of the workers of La Española, Gremca, La Emergencia, and Familia, I would like to thank you all for all your contributions in this conference that is a first and is very important for the positioning of mutualism in Europe. I would just like to add that Julio is not here now with mutualism, but he has been for many years. First in the UMU, he has been a consultant for UMU for many years. And concerning AMA, I've had the pleasure of working with him in drafting the new project of bylaws of the AMA, which, due to different situation of public entities, had some amendments, but it's there. So in following and to finish these 2 days, we will ask Elisa Torrenegra, who is our president, to be in charge of the closing with the quality she usually offers. Colleagues, I think that sharing these 2 days has consolidated us first as friends, as a family, as entities who wish to do something better all the time for the world, and for Julio to propose this in Estonia as the next step to what has been achieved in the countries with their health systems, which are majority are coverage. Now, it was a time for quality, and it was a time to land the methods and the technical topics. This profile of conference where the technical aspect is focused, we wish to keep it in AMA. We want to keep the profile in AMA that providing organizations with elements for their daily activity. This time it was quality, and we will see which topic we choose next so that our members are up to date and can share experiences about a topic that really improves their performance. The other part of this great event was experiences that are not health, which we have already heard about during the event. Very good experiences that we are being an example even at the international level, because worldwide we don't always take into account that the way of doing mutuality here is different, that we fight to stay in a consumerist society with a lot of precarious aspects where we have to resist and continue contributing. And finally, there was a more philosophical topic, more conceptual and political, which is this last one that Jose Maria was mentioning as principles and values. And from AMA, we wish to thank all of you for your presence. We hope you continue with this line, with the cooperativism, mutualism of America, that we continue to be that alliance that allows us to grow, to become increasingly better, referencing the world, but also valuing what has been done locally. These are two environments that should not be broken apart. There are two environments that have to be taken into account while valuing our own. It's not, I don't want to go into brands, but if the example of Coca-Cola, we are all going to drink Coca-Cola, and regardless of what we like, no, it's not a matter of copying, but to have international references and value what is local. In Europe, they have over 500 years more than us of life and progress. So we have a demographic situation that we are going in that direction with an older population in their case, older in age, where health care is supported with technology. It's a contrast of what you can see there, and we have to start adopting that here because we have to get ready, and AMA wants to be in line with that. AMA will be in line with AIM and all the mutual organizations that support, contribute to this economy, and I insist, and I'm sorry that I repeat myself, but it's a way of being, acting, and thinking. Thanks to the UMU, thanks Dar, and I don't see Brenda, but Brenda Riel, I want to thank her because she has been the heart and soul of the success of this conference, and we want to thank her and all the members of the UMU for their contribution, for being there, and for ensuring a space that has been suitable and a topic development and impeccable logistics. And thanks to the colleagues from Europe and other countries that have been here with us, and we hope we will continue to be in contact with all of you through our web pages, emails, and our daily activities. Thank you very much, and see you soon.